Hello out there, and thanks for joining us on Public Conscience. And it is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG. PRIMOG is a civil society group with the mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I'm Okiri Agbonsu-Remi, and I'm here with Adaobi Obiabumo.
Welcome to the program. On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations, drawing governments and citizens for democratic actions against it. We are supported by the MacArthur Foundation.
The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, is set to begin a second phase of tracking of constituency projects. The ICPC is following up the first phase of the exercise done in 12 states of the Federation.
ICPC reported that after the first phase, over 200 contractors returned to sites to complete water, healthcare, and many other projects that were initially abandoned.
The success also include the recovery of huge sums of money from the sponsors of the projects, as well as ensuring the distribution of hundreds of tricycles, grinding machines, and other empowerment items, some of which were secured as far back as 2016 to beneficiaries.
And we have in the studio two officials of the ICPC with us, Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa, Acting Head of Department, Public Enlightenment and Spokesperson of the Commission, and Mr. Jimo Suleiman of the Constituency and Executive Project Monitoring Team. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
We want to appreciate your presence, Mr. Azuka and Jimo. Jimo is as an Assistant Commissioner in the Commission. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Now, two congratulatory packages for them. I want to congratulate Mrs. Azuka for stepping up to becoming the acting HOD of the Public Enlightenment and the spokesperson of the ICPC. The last time ICPC was here at that level was Mrs. Kudua, who has retired now. We enjoyed her relationship with us, and anytime we called on her, she was always there. And we are so very, very happy to see Mrs. Azuka stepping in there. I want to congratulate the ICPC for its 20th anniversary. I was at her webinar that was organized. It was wonderful, and I stayed from the beginning to the end, as if it shouldn't actually end, because there were a lot of things that happened in there, a lot of information, trading. There's hope for Nigeria that will actually fight corruption to a standstill. Some of those recommendations are taken. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you very much.
Remember that you can follow us on our social media platforms at Official PRIMOG. PRIMOG is spelled PRIMORG, and we are streaming live on Facebook at Official PRIMOG. You can watch our videos on PRIMOG TV, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders whenever we have a post. And you can also send us a message on our WhatsApp number, which is 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167. This number is for message only.
And then you can begin to give us that messages now, because your messages can be part of this program. Even after the program, if you're watching the videos and you have information to give to us, please send us messages. And you can also write to us through info@primong.org. And we are always willing to add up these to the discourse as we carve out the road, moving away from the corruption lane and getting all the funds to the benefit of citizens. Now let's turn to our guests. Mrs. Azuka, let's just begin with you. Let us have your overview of the efforts by the ICPC to fight corruption through the proper implementation of the constituency projects.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here, my first time on this station, my first time interacting with PRIMOG at this level. Well, our zonal intervention constituency projects are actually zonal intervention projects. And this has been ongoing as long as we have had legislators. The fact is, it's a way of bringing the governance closer to the grassroots. It's an approved way in other countries whereby legislators who see needs and gaps in their constituencies nominate such projects to help to alleviate sufferings, alleviate the problems in their constituencies. So that is what it's called. It's actually called officially zonal intervention projects. Now, the commission took an interest in zonal intervention projects last year when it launched a group called the Constituency Projects Tracking Group to monitor the implementation of the zonal intervention project. Usually these projects come in the form of provision of amenities. It can be either roads, building of markets, provision of basic skills and skill acquisition helps to the grassroots, to the people in the grassroots. So these projects are nominated and they are now executed not by the legislators but by government MDAs. It's the government MDAs that have these projects infused into their own budget, and they now have to implement the projects as part of their budget.
What is the role of the legislators in this entire game? I know that they probably will decide what is better for their people.
Yes.
They can say, oh, our people need water.
Yes.
So we need a borehole.
A borehole.
So the relevant ministries and NDA catches that up in its own budget.
Yes.
What other roles does in the implementation of this budget, this constituency framework?
Well, the role of the legislators is to nominate. That should be their role, just to nominate the project, because a project has a process. You can't just say a project is cited anywhere. If you say, for instance, using a borehole that you just cited, that your people need water and a borehole has to be cited, there's a proper process. Yes. You have to test the land, you have to see where the need is, and then you make sure that the proper procurement process is open, competitive bidding is done, and the right people, we have value for money, and there is actually the need for it. So it's not where there is no need you go and cite a project.
So there's a need assessment.
There should be a needs assessment, So these are the processes that should be. So the legislator's role is to nominate a project, say the need, and leave the ministries or the agencies to do their work and complete their project.
What you are saying now is on paper. In practice, what do we actually have?
Now, the problem was that there were complaints coming out from the public that we don't see the government presence. Sometimes they see the signboard with the, this project, this school is cited here by government, and the signboard is there, the cost is there, the name of the contractor is there, and nothing is done. They complain, they write to ICPC.
Apart from the name of the contractor and the project, I have also seen signboard with honorable member, distinguished senator.
Thank you very much. So at a time, the public began to get the impression that it was the honorable member, especially the largest, when they are giving out all these motorcycles, grinding machines, sewing machine. Oh, this our honorable member loves us so much. He's the one giving us these things, not knowing that it is actually their money, government money. It is their project. It is their what should have been used to help them. They are thanking the honorable member, not appreciating that it's the federal government who has done a needs assessment, obviously, or probably, and is giving them this.
We are looking at corruption because we are not just looking at
yes.
issue. Now let's look at it. I'm coming to you, Mr. Jim, well, because you have a lot of things to tell us.
Yes.
But I want to concentrate on the overview.
Yes.
When we are looking at corruption in this entire game.
Yes.
Now, if you see the distribution of the motorcycles, tricycles, the sewing machines, the grinding machines, they are not done by the MDAs. They are done by the legislators.
Now that is why there is a little problem. Yes. There's a little problem in the processes, because where the gaps began and the loopholes are in the process of procurement. Sometimes the people who are there is no open bidding, as you can infer from what I'm saying. So the people that get to do the jobs might be people nominated also
by the
legislators. Now, the way they do the job might not meet the standards on paper. Okay? Now, they do the procurement sometimes and hand over the materials to the legislators to distribute. So the legislators take the glory for what was done by the government.
From what you just said, it does appear that these zonal intervention projects are not donations by the legislators.
They are not donations by the legislators.
Now, I want to stretch it. Let me come to Mr. Jimo. When legislators are in the forefront of, because I want to tap from your experience on the field, because we are looking at what has been done before. We are entering the first phase now. We want to tap from what we saw on the feed. When legislators come up and put their names there on the signboard, they claim that they are the one doing it. They take the glory. And where do you track the corruption from what we have seen in the past? Where is the corruption lying?
Okay, I think if you permit me, let me first of all start by telling us the objective of this constituency project tracking group. First of all is to investigate fraudulent procurement practices in the award of contracts, to monitor in collaboration with critical stakeholders. When we say stakeholders, it means that it's not only ICPC that is doing it. We have the media, the CSOs, and some professionals. We bring them together so that nobody will come and say, okay, ICPC is witch hunting anybody.
Transparency.
That is that. So aside from that, we now select projects. And when we do the selection, it is this committee, project selection committee, that select all these projects based on certain parameters. And the parameter is that, okay, the project must be impactful projects to the people.
Yes. Education,
health, power, agriculture, and water resources. And it must be maybe to the tune of maybe 100 million.
Okay.
Because if we are starting, say, we should do all the projects, will not go anywhere. So that's why we say, okay, let us start a threshold of 100 million above. So we select, after the selection, then we move into the site.
The first phase that ended, how many projects were in there?
Okay, we started with 81 projects. 81. On paper, we selected 81 projects. However, when we got to the field, our trackers, some of the projects were eventually broken down again by the MDAs and the sponsors, such that eventually we track 424 projects.
In how many states?
In 12 states. From 81 projects to 424 projects. You ask me why?
Why?
Sometimes a project that is supposed to be maybe 100 million, and if the agency cannot maybe award such project, they will not break it down. We call it contract splitting.
The split contract.
Such that it will not go to FEC.
Yes.
So that is what happened. So we started tracking, and we saw so many things.
But that's actually an aberration.
Definitely, it is.
So that's one of the first points of a spotlight that will first of all give you the red signal.
Yes, and when you get to the site, you also discover that there was no needs assessment done at all. A community needs a school, you are bringing a market. A community needs a hospital, you are bringing, you are constructing gutter. So these are the things that we saw that we felt that these are bad. And you now see that most of those projects are either shoddily done, not done at all, or sometimes outright preferring of a government fund. The people at the grassroots do not know who is funding this.
Yeah, we are going to come because that's an essential part of it. We are going to be coming to ask where are the people in this entire project. Okay. But let's look at the recoveries.
Okay.
Let's look at the recoveries. I think I will still stay with Jimon before I come to Madam. Let's look at the recoveries in the first phase. Okay. Over 200 contractors were forced to come back to.
Definitely.
Because they actually ran away before.
They ran away.
Before they had collected the money.
And they pocketed the money.
One that I saw in Abuja here. They rushed down and they were quickly doing the job.
Definitely.
Now, cash were also recovered.
Yes.
Now, tell us about this.
I won't mention names, but I think...
I wish you can mention names. No, because if there are documents, if there are official documents, if there are public documents, if there are things that...
We recovered more than close to 2 billion naira.
Wow.
From projects not done by some sponsors. For example...
When you say sponsors, are these legislators?
They are.
Yes. They are legislators?
Yes.
How did the legislators get to to hold the cash that's supposed to come from MDAs?
That is the issue. Let me quickly tell you what usually happens. They are the one that facilitates the projects. They domicile the project in whatever agency they like. In whatever agency they feel that can help them do whatever they want to do. So, and when the money comes to that agency, the agency needs to do procurement. But unfortunately, you find out that, from our experience, you also find out that these contractors are cronies of the sponsors. such that when the money is now eventually given to the agency to work, the money is released by the government, the agency, for whatever reason,
because they warehouse the money, they distribute it the way they want to do it.
They distribute it to the so-called winners of the contract. And the contractor usually is nominated by whoever.
Yeah.
You now see that when we
by
now
the legislators.
when you now get to the site, you saw that, okay, the first is that when we now see that, okay, this has happened, we invite the contractors, we invite the MDAs. Let us sit down and see what has happened. By the time we are interviewing them, interrogating them, we see money has flown from from A to B, and definitely we have to recover such money. We have seen where a legislator bought hospital equipment worth maybe for almost 500 million. They bought them and they kept them in their warehouse. Yes, they didn't distribute them. So when we got there, dialysis machine, 3. So many. In communities where they have needs for those machines,
yes,
they were just kept somewhere. So eventually we recovered them. We took them to the hospitals where they were needed. So these are the things. It is, when you talk about this constituency project tracking, I think the best thing to me is that you don't just wait until maybe you take somebody to court. First of all, do the needful.
Yes.
Recover the money.
Yes.
Recover the items and distribute. Because if you wait, say, okay, you want to go to court, the values of those items will go down. And court cases...
They may even be in disuse. Technologically, they may actually go out of date.
Out of date. That is it. So, that is why we usually... Now, because of the experiences those agencies have had with us in the first phase, they are now careful. Now, if they want to award contracts, sometimes, if they want to do bidding, sometimes they invite ICPC to come and watch. And why watch? We tell them, you can't use us to come and watch and legitimize what is wrong.
Now, let me come to Mrs. Ogugwa. Let's look at the fault lines along this. He has painted a picture of how it starts from the beginning to the end, where there's a conceptualization, there's a nomination from the National Assembly members. They say this is what is needed in this community. He has established it very quickly that there are no needs assessment. They just sit down here and decide what they want. And the other point is warehousing their constituency projects in any MDAs that they feel. I can tell you one that was warehoused in the Space Center in Abuja here in Ondo State, computer training. Go and find out what happened. Maybe after the program, I will give you facts. These are serious matters. What really happened to that project? Were people trained on use of computer in that area?
Training is one of the very soft areas, very fluid.
Taking the money away.
Very fluid, very difficult to track. Training and all these empowerment programs, they are very fluid. You can't really lay your hands on what was done. They will tell you we have trained.
They show you photographs.
So, well, you can't track it. You can't say what the value of the training was. So, training is one of the very fluid areas that we have.
But do we track the movement of the funds? Because if there's a project, a contractor is selected, whether through competitive bidding or somebody nominates, and the money is paid from the MDA to the contractor. Do we track?
Then from the contractor, who next? That is part of the tracking. And that is what they do on the field. Because he is a field officer when it comes to constituency projects. So we track that. So you can see that the money goes from the contractor. Some of it might go back
to the legislators,
to the sponsor. So we are not... Now, what I want to make clear is this. In our tracking exercise for phase 1, let's be clear on this. We found these abnormalities happened in about maybe 35%, because I'm studying the report right now, about 35% of the cases. So it's not in all the cases, it's not in most of the cases. So it's in about 35% of all the cases that were tracked in phase 1 that we found these abnormalities. But the tracking we do is track who the money went to, then the contractor, how did you move the money? You see money moving from his account money for a project, moving from his account to this person. He's settling. So that is part of the recoveries that they made. Return the money, you didn't spend it. It wasn't meant for you. You don't use it to settle people. You use the money for the project. So that is part of the work. I'm very well aware of some instances where people had to return cash. Okay, so when they return that cash, go first. Let's sort out this issue. Another question you probably will ask me now, so I will just answer it is, so how many people have been charged? You see, what we were doing in constituency projects tracking is one arm of the job, it's one aspect of the job. For us to charge people to court, it takes another level of investigation.
Yes.
So we are doing that level. It's part of what is the fallout and follow-ups to the first phase, while we are tracking the second phase. Because you have to complete your investigation totally with your facts before you take people to court based on your findings. So there is a higher level of studying. The tracking is one level. When you have tracked, like he said, the aim is to recover assets, return them to site, get the things to the people, get the projects down to the people, so that we achieve our SDGs. We are suffering. Nigeria is very backward when it comes to achievement of SDGs, water, education, and health, because of these projects, some of them not being implemented. So we want to get the projects. That's the major objective. So when we are now having issues, and when we see a case that is clearly criminal, we go further. It's not just tracking. That is now in an investigation. You know the people you are investigation. So that when you now flag those cases, those are the cases that will go to.
Now, I want you to still explain the about 35% you talk about, so that we get it very clear. Our listener out there and those who are also viewing us will understand what we are talking about.
Okay.
What you are saying is that in all, we have at least an average of about 35% discrepancies and abnormalities in what we get in the constituency project that we have.
Okay. Now, what I mean by that 35%, I'm even wrong. It's less than that. Out of the projects that were tracked, 60% were completed. Okay, so I'm giving you statistics.
That is above average.
Yeah, that is above. We are completed, done. We're not saying perfectly, but completed.
Yeah.
Now, out of that, 25% were ongoing. So they either returned to the site and started doing it. So
that's after your intervention.
Yes.
After your intervention.
During and after our intervention. Okay. So I just want to paint the picture very clear that 60% were so we don't think all the constituency projects had issues. No, 60% were completed out of the numbers we tracked. 25% were ongoing. Among the remaining 15% that we had the major issues.
Okay.
Yes.
All
so
right.
That's why the clarification.
All right.
Mr. Jimo, you are the field marshal of the commission. I'll direct this question to you. What were the challenges you experienced in the first phase?
Yes.
Well, we're getting ready to go to the second phase. So
challenges are always there. You see, sometimes when you request for information from maybe the MDAs, the contractors, they try to short-circuit us. They will say, okay, they don't have this information. But based on the law that we are that set us up, we usually overcome such challenges. But the basic thing is that the people at the grassroots do not know who is funding this project. You go to this site, you see Honorable ABC own this project, not knowing that it is government money that is being used to finance such a project. So when you get there, and again, another aspect is that when a project is done, either shoddily done or whatever, is a project that you have spent maybe 200 million on. Some small part of it now gets spoiled. They are still going to be waiting for the legislator who probably had exited National Assembly
to come and fix it.
That means that we are wasting government funds.
No continuity,
no sustainability.
Yeah.
So that was what we are now saying is that we are bringing them in, inclusiveness. If a project is cited in this community, let the community host such projects.
Now, I was actually going to ask, which is actually the next phase, because we are going to the next phase. It's one part of the experiences. That's why we put these challenges, so that we understand the challenges that we have. Now, ICPC, as much as it's working and carrying the NGOs and everybody, CSO, the media along, maybe we should also find a way of carrying the people along. Yes. We must let the people who own this process. Because if there's a constituency project in my community and the people are not aware, they are not even aware that the project is there. From the beginning, they don't need assessment, no meetings were held to even ask them, is it water you need or a health center? Because we have just 100 naira to either build a health center or renovate your school? Which one do you want? They are not involved at all. So how do we carry in this exercise? How do we begin to get the people involved in it?
Okay, ICPC also, based on the facts, what we have done, ICPC also designed a public engagement
mobilization.
My constituency, my project. That was the title. We move again to the communities ourselves, including the CSO, the associations in the community, to tell them that these projects are your projects. Own it. When your legislators come in, tell them what you need. Don't let them just donate things that you don't need to you.
Should we not be the first thing to engage with the legislators? First, to set a template that a constituency project cannot happen unless you have the
input. You see,
of
that's a major issue. When we started this, it was as if ICPC was fighting legislators, and so that was the first point of engagement. We had to sit down with our committees on anti-corruption to explain what we were doing with them to them. We are not attacking you. We want to see projects delivered to them.
But you were attacking them.
No,
because that's how they will see.
It's not an attack.
No, that's how they will see.
Yes, but
because you are preventing them from doing it the way they want to do it.
We have to let them know you can't take government money for your own. So it's not an attack. Your purpose there, you are put there to help your people. We are put there to make sure that you help your people. So we are actually working towards the same purpose. And many of them agreed with us. We are not fighting them. You were there, both of them. We are at our program yesterday. Yes. Both the Senate and House of Reps chairman of our committees, we are in our program. We have a very good working relationship with them because they understand what we are doing. They don't want us to fail. They want us to succeed because our success is their success. So that is the first point of engagement. Then we have this massive outreach to the masses. We are working with NOA because NOA has a reach in all the local governments in Nigeria. So we are working with National Orientation Agency, my constituency, my project. It is your constituency. It is your project. Own the project. Don't leave the project for somebody else. He nominated it. Okay, maybe you didn't have a say. But now own it. Monitor it. Are they building it well? Report to ICPC. Give us feedback on the progress of. So when I was at Ibadan for this, my constituent, people were speaking passionately. They have never known, when you say constituency project, they have never known.
Because the general information out there is that the constituency project is the project of the legislator. So they come distribute sewing machines and they say they are the owners of.
And if they sink borehole, they might sink it in their compound and be selling water to you. Okay. And you are grateful for the water.
Before we open the phones, Jimo, I want us to quickly give some high points of some of the projects that we tracked in the first phase. We recovered over 2 billion. We had over 200 contractors. Maybe we just pick one or two that is salient, that when people hear it, they know that they need to be involved, or they actually say that the work is worth it. You are not wasting all your time. Just one or two because of time.
Okay, in an agrarian society, let's say, for example, in Bauchi, a legislator puts a project in one NDA, buying a purchase of 6 tractors for his people to be using during planting season. The money was released. The tractors were bought. Unfortunately, the tractors were not supplied to the people. It was supplied to the legislators, and the legislator was using the tractors on his own farm.
Wow.
Eventually, when we got in, we recovered all the tractors. We asked him to take the tractors to the company to refurbish it. After refurbishing, then we now call all the community members to come and see what their representative has done.
Wow.
So that was what we did. We now redistributed the tractors to the community.
Maybe he should be asked to pay for the cost of hiring it for the period he used it.
We have also seen where a sponsor was supposed to do a health dam. That is why I say sometimes they don't do needs assessment.
Yes.
After money has been released to the MDAs, they got to where they wanted to do the health dam. They discovered that place, topography is not good enough. And you now see what they will do. They will quickly now change that project to another project. Sometimes they call it motorized water scheme. When you say motorized water scheme, you wonder what they mean. But when you go, you see that it is only borehole they are talking about. And you see when a borehole is costing, in a village, one borehole is costing 14 million.
Wow.
That's over invoicing.
Yes.
So, and we try as much as possible.
In a place where you can use 300,000 naira to get a borehole.
We got the money back to government covers. In another place down south, where you are buying dialysis machine for a primary health center or even secondary health center, do they need it there?
They don't need it.
So that is why
Dialysis machine, even general hospitals are probably the only one that can
whatever. So that is why we say it is just wasting money.
So what did you do in that instance?
Definitely we recover the...
And move it to a hospital where it will be...
We move it to the hospital where it was meant, because we don't have the capacity to change that. Because, it's when you say appropriation is a law.
Yes.
Nobody can change it until the National
So,
Assembly...
but how do you use a dialysis in a primary health center?
We also contacted the state government in that regard, that these machines are here and they will be wasting. So the government, ICPC and the government, we started talking so that get used, so that it will not just be abandoned and become a waste.
If it's the primary health care center, it will be wasted. It will be wasted. Well, it's been a very useful discussion. I've had Mrs. Ogugwa and Mr. Jimon from the ICPC. Of course, it is constituency project tracking, and we want to have your input now, no matter how few we can. Of course, the discussion will not be complete without you being there. So let us have your input. It's an opportunity for you to share with us. And, this discussion is going to be in 3 phases. 3 episodes we have devoted to this. So but today we are reviewing. We are looking at what happened and how to better it. You are a member of one constituency or the other out there. Can you share your experiences? My guests in the studios here will also answer questions if you need knowledge empowerment on what to do. All right, let's take our first call. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Tell us your name and where you are calling from.
My name is Olefi Moses. I'm calling from Abuja here.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed this program today. This is my first time of listening to this program. And it's opened my eyes to many things I don't know about ICPC. And another thing is this. I want ICPC or the legislator to enlighten the end user. Any project that is coming to their constituency, so project is coming to your constituency, they will be able to track and monitor and see that, okay, this is done or this is not done. So that we'll be able to know so thing is coming to my own constituency. It's part of our benefit for that very year. So that we'll be able to know that, okay, we are getting the dividends of democracy.
Thank you. But Mr. Ogugwa, who does that? He's suggesting that the ICPC should do the enlightenment.
Yes.
Who does that?
What we do is we tell people to call our toll-free number, 0800, call ICPC. That is what it is, 2255-4272. 0800, call ICPC. That is 0800 2255-4272. Now, when you call, we will let you, and you tell us your constituency, we will tell you where you can get information. But there is a general site on the Office of the Accountant General.
The Open Treasury.
Yes. So what?
Are all these contracts supposed to be listed on the at least uploaded on the Open Treasury portal? Okay, let's just take this call.
Yes, contracts are listed.
Okay. Now I was thinking that. Okay. Hello. Thank you for joining us, and please tell us your name and where you are calling from.
My name is Victor. I'm calling from Lube Federal Housing.
Thank you so much, Victor. Please go ahead. Please let's try and see if you can take 60 seconds.
Okay. I really appreciate the discussion for this morning. Then I want to appeal to the ICPC team in the studio. Citizen engagement is very, very important in tracking all these projects. And I will urge them, if it's possible, to work closely with local governments, or probably if they can have their men at the local government. Every year they publish list of contracts that are being awarded. Then they can send the list of the one that belongs to that particular constituency. Then from there will be an engagement from the grassroots through their offices in all these grassroots. Then from there, the citizen will be able to know that, okay, this project supposed to be sited in this area between X period of time. If they didn't see between that period, then they can raise an eyebrow that our money is missing because it's our money. So I believe with this, it will help us a lot to even track it on our own. And when there is nothing on ground, then we can put the call through. We can find the XYZ project in our constituency. What happened to the money? Has the money been released or not?
Thank you so much. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
This is Koje Koyomi. I'm calling from Abuja.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. We appreciate the good work you are doing. Please, I want to make a contribution. I have a system that could help to overcome corruption in this country, both from the federal to the local government. So how do I reach? Can I call this? Unfortunately, my phone battery is very low now. I don't know.
Just listen to we have gotten your answer. Just a question. You just listen to the program, and Mr. Google will tell you how to reach ICPC. Thank you very much. Yeah, we always want contributions, and I believe the doors of the ICPC, they are open. If somebody says I have a way to call corruption, they will jump at it. But we are still talking about your input to this program. Hello. Yeah, you are on to Keys FM. We are on public conscience. We are discussing corruption, and we have constituency projects tracking as our topic with the ICPC officials here. Your name and where you are calling from, please.
I'm Pastor Ayoade.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Go ahead.
I'm calling from Kuje.
We are all ears. Go ahead, please.
There is a rule that was facilitated by this senator, Agudua. They call it a Lanto Road.
A road, you said? A road?
There is a road that was facilitated by Agudua, one senator of FCC.
Yes, which road is this, please?
Lanto Road.
Where is Lanto Road?
Yeah, Kuje.
It's in Kuje local government. Go ahead. What about the road?
I think the road is supposed to terminate at and supposed to be a short cut. But they get to a stage where they call Adadi and they terminated it. But that one is not refunded. The road that was done in December this last year, all the road is with a full pothole now.
Two issues you have raised. The road, the two issues you have raised. The road probably is not as long as it ought to be. It's terminated somewhere, and then the quality of the road is bad. Are you in touch with the contractors? Do you know the contractors?
The name of the contractor is on the signboard, but I'm not close to that sector now. Maybe the subsequent things I will tell you the contractor.
Do you have a community organization in that area? Are the community organized? Do you have a community association? Do you have people who look at whatever project that is in their community? Do you have any way you are organized? You can do a letter to ICPC to say this road should please put it as part of what you want to do. Is there anything of sort? Are you organized at all?
Yes, we are organized. We can do that.
That's beautiful. I think Mr. Google, in the course of responding, just listen, keep on listening. She will respond to it on how you can get information to ICPC, particularly the tracking committees, those who are monitoring the constituency project. Thank you so much. And it is what everybody should actually do. We should all be involved and interested. Hello.
My name is Inka. I'm from Jari.
Okay, Inka, go ahead.
I'm blessed with today's information about constituency. And today I know that the senators and the rest have authority over constituency. But I want to raise an idea that we can make it easy to track. I remember doing my service here, we have this EDS group, Community Development Group that is called FCC. So ICPC is drafted with EFCC nationwide. That is all members with their own place of CPA, monitor on the constituency what that is being done. And they are more educated, they can enlighten the people, and they can even pass the commission back to a state coordinator of CPS for the nationwide to just monitor, and it will be easier, even aid whatever is doing.
Okay, thank you very much. This is still talking about citizens engagement and getting every stakeholder on board. And you know that Primorg is also in this league, we are also stakeholders in this entire process. That will be the council rituals.
And for Pastor, I want to believe you're still listening. You can send us a text message on 0902 265 6167. 0902 265 6167. Or you could also send a mail to us, info@primorg.org. info@primorg.org.
And we are not just we're also monitoring other projects. I think we have one in Peggy community, a road as well. We are tracking it, but when we get to a point, because we don't have the police, we don't have enforcement powers, all we do is to gather information, we hand them over to the ICPC for further investigation. We have done that with some projects under the UBE, and ICPC is calling UBE officials to come and answer questions now, because we wrote a petition and asked that they should be queried on some of those things. If we all work together, we will all get the result. That is how it works. We cannot just sit idle and assume that somebody will do the work for us. Hello. Your name, where you are calling from?
Mr. Michael, calling from Patrick.
Go ahead, please, Michael.
Please, I want to ask the guest in the house there. Yeah, in respect to the constituency development. Because we have situation where some representatives who we call our leaders at the national level who happen to be legislators. And they're coming down to the community level to develop them. What they do mostly, they bring buy a few buys and come and give to people. Like some boys who happen to have been doing election period and call them constituency development. Whereas the masses are suffering. And things like this, what do we do?
That's a very good question. Very, very good one. Because some even, I don't know, let me ask Mr. Google, is palliative part of constituency projects? Because people, they bag bags of rice and distribute and say they are empowering their people with food. Is that part of it?
No, palliatives are not part of constituency projects.
But when they buy bicycles, tricycles, and they distribute it to their party supporters,
yes,
it's almost impossible, because these are also members of the community.
Yes.
You cannot say, why are you giving it to XYZ, who is a member of your party or who supported you. So how do we actually make sure that, like what Jimon said at the beginning, that they are impactful projects that are selected? They are not projects that will benefit just one person. We are looking at projects that have an overriding impact on everybody.
Okay. ICPC, in addition to training people on how to monitor projects, we have trained and we are still training the grassroots on how to have an input into their budget, into what they want. Many of the grassroots don't know how to express what they need, what they want, to their local government chairman, to their state legislators or their national legislators. So we did what we called a grassroots training on budget processes to teach the grassroots how to mobilize themselves. You ask now, do you have a community organization? Do you have a group formed to get themselves together, youth groups, women groups, market groups, to make representations to these legislators to say this is what they want. We want to train people not just to monitor projects after the fact, but to make input into the project before the fact, proactively. You don't wait until they bring a project to you that you say, oh, this is not what we want. Did you say what you want? So we are training people on how to express themselves so that they can, from the planning process of the budgeting or the nomination, they can make their needs felt. And then they can now monitor the implementation. So it has to start from the beginning of the budget cycle. You don't wait until there is a needs assessment done. What if they don't do one?
Yeah.
So you need to learn to mobilize to make your needs known. So that is where we tell groups to get together. Don't just be a one-man show. Get together, get the youth groups together, women groups, student groups, market groups, or whatever you call yourself, and make your representations. That is where it starts. Then monitor the implementations, and then make recommendations back and forth. Don't be a sit down look kind of citizen. Yes, don't be a sit down look watcher, whatever they give us. But palliatives are not part of it.
Okay, Jimo, you want to add to that the citizens engagement, because almost all the questions, over 80% of the questions, revolve around how do we mobilize the people? Are the people enthusiastic about what you are
very
doing?
very enthusiastic. Now, on daily basis we receive petitions from groups, from individuals within the communities. That okay, Senator ABC has inputted this project in this community, he has not done it, or he has done it and abandoned the project. So we come in and we quickly facilitate it being done properly. Aside from that, again, like Madam Gugwa said, we have what we call community development associations. ICPC has been empowering those ones to come together. Whatever issues that you have in your community, let us know if it is with regard to corruption issue. Now they are doing that. Among our trackers in the communities, we also have local NGOs, local CSOs, such that when ICPC officials have gone to the state or have gone back to Abuja, the local CSOs will still be there to monitor those projects. They still call us that, okay, the contractor that came the other time had abandoned again. What do? We quickly call them. What has happened? They say, okay, sorry, it was because of rain. That's why. So they have been. It has been enthusiastic. People have been coming in to give us petition to tell us what has been happening.
Now, in the purview of we are going to the feed a second time. The second phase is happening. What do we need from the people?
Okay, we need the people to speak up. We need the people to come out and cooperate with our teams. Our teams are going to the grassroots. They're already on the field. Come out and take them to the sites. Show them the sites. Tell them what you have noticed. Like the person that mentioned potholes, tell them the ones that were abandoned, the ones that stopped somewhere. You thought you should get somewhere, maybe 25 kilometers. You are seeing equivalent of 5. You should point out those things. There are some things that look very good on paper. They just get a snapshot and it looks as if it's completed. Let the people be open to the community. And I think that is the basic thing we are telling them right now. And then, like my colleague said, keep reporting back to ICPC. Keep engaging. We just need that engagement, that interaction with the public on a daily basis, and we are good to go. We handle the rest.
All right. We just need to wrap up now because of time.
Please visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. That is news.primorg.org for all the details of our interviews. And also encourage you to visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg.
I want to appreciate our guests from ICPC, Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa, Acting HOD, Public Enlightenment and Spokesperson of the Commission.
Many thanks to Mr. Jimo Suleiman of the Constituency and Executive Project Monitoring Team.
He's an Assistant Commissioner. Public Conscience is brought to you and supported by John T. and Catherine D. MacArthur Foundation in an effort to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation at its website at macfound.org.
Join us again next week for another interesting episode of Public Conscience on Radio. I am Adaobi Obiabumo.
And the program is brought to you by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, Primorg. My name is Okiri Agbonsuremi. Let's do it again next week when we come back. And remember to always drop information for us just before we come, and can be sure that we will impute all those your suggestions and information on the templates that we provide to all the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria. Thank you for staying with us.